3 crucial reasons why spiritual experiences must be kept secret. Hello everyone, I am Pulkit Mathur, founder of The Spiritual Bee, a blog on Vedantic spirituality, and in this video I am going to outline the 3 absolutely critical reasons why an aspirant working towards the goal of God realization should keep his or her spiritual experiences a secret. So if you recall, in our earlier video on the law of karma, we had discussed that the whole of the evolutionary struggle, the real reason why we are laboring through successive human births, is so that our soul can clear away the scum of the ego covering our minds and realize its true nature, its infinite divine swarup in Samadhi or moksha. Now, since the soul is an indivisible part of the infinite ocean of God, therefore realizing our soul is the same as realizing God Himself. The soul realization, self-realization and God realization are synonymous terms. Now, as a sadhak or a spiritual aspirant begins to make progress along this most difficult path of God realization, he or she naturally starts to have certain spiritual experiences either through dreams or during meditation or as flashes of inspiration. Upon having these preliminary experiences, many aspirants become so excited that they start to share them willy-nilly with people around them. However, there are 3 very sound reasons why this should not be done. The first and the most critical reason is that in carelessly relating our spiritual experiences to others, we open the door for the demon of pride to enter our minds. Just the mere act of talking about our experiences immediately induces in the mind a false sense of importance as we begin to feel, I'm so much better than others. Look how far I've come. God loves me more than others, otherwise why else would He grace my dreams? Because I'm having these spiritual experiences while others are not, it must mean that I'm the chosen one, I have special powers, I have been accorded a special status, a special authority by God Himself. And in this way, by stoking these delusional fires of vanity, arrogance and self-centeredness in our minds, we immediately flare up and inflate our ego, the one element which, as we saw in our earlier video, we are striving to eliminate in order to ascend to a higher consciousness and reach the infinite consciousness of God in Samadhi or moksha. Therefore, describing one's spiritual experiences to others is an entirely futile and self-defeating exercise because it immediately retards our spiritual development by boosting our ego. It is for this reason that Swami Vivekananda has cautioned, if the pride of spirituality enters into you, woe unto you. It is the most awful bondage that ever existed. Neither can wealth nor any other bondage of the human heart bind the soul so much as this. I am purer than others is the most awful idea that can enter into the human heart. In what sense are you pure? The God in you is the God in all. How can there be a difference? It is all one. Every being is the temple of the Most High. If you have not known this, you have known nothing. Spirituality has yet to come to you. Now, one point to emphasize here is that a mere moratorium on the outer act of speaking is not enough. Because even though we may refrain from speaking about our spiritual attainments to others, nevertheless we may still harbor the ego-driven thoughts and feelings of vanity and superiority inside within our minds. Therefore, for a sadhak struggling to attain to God consciousness, it is absolutely essential that he or she maintain an outer silence as well as an inner silence within their own minds regarding their spiritual experiences. Having said this, there is however one important situation in which this rule of silence can be relaxed, and that is if we have an opportunity to discuss our experiences with a God-realized Guru. This is because a God-realized Guru, having traversed every inch of the road to Samadhi, has the necessary qualifications to determine whether our spiritual experiences are real, meaning that they stem from genuine progress made on the spiritual path, or whether they are fake, being either misperceptions or ego-driven illusions and hallucinations conjured up by the mind. An incident highlighting such ego-driven misperceptions that can arise on the path to Samadhi is found in the teachings of Swami Brahman, who was a God-realized disciple of Sri Ramakrishna just like Swami Vivekananda was. Once an acquaintance of Swami Brahman renounced all worldly ties and set off to practice austerities in the Himalayan town of Rishikesh. Refusing all guidance from adept gurus, the man, after some months of solitary meditation, declared that he had attained to Samadhi. When Swami Brahmanand, who was residing in a nearby town, heard this, he exclaimed, "Why, I saw him about 10 days ago. I looked into his eyes. He has not had Samadhi. No doubt he has had some kind of mystic vision, the vision of light perhaps, and he mistakes that for Samadhi. An aspirant is often led astray like that when he has no guru to advise him. Samadhi. Is it an easy matter to attain Samadhi? We saw Swami Vivekananda in Samadhi only a few times. Sri Ramakrishna was the only one we saw in Samadhi many times each day and night. In thus highlighting the state of this person's eyes, Swami Brahmanand was referring to the outer signs of Samadhi. One of these signs is that the gaze of a yogi who has attained to God realization has an indrawn look. This is because in order to attain to Samadhi, the entire mental focus of a yogi must turn inwards to reach the depths of his or her consciousness. And so this continuous inward-looking state of their mind ultimately gets reflected in their physical eyes. To better understand this point, think of the difference between the droopy eyes of a sleepy person and the alert eyes of one who's wide awake versus the faraway look in the eyes of a person who's daydreaming. In the same way, the eyes of a person who has attained to Samadhi have a special quality to them which can be easily discerned by adept sages like Swami Brahmanand, who had not only attained to Samadhi himself but had seen others immersed in Samadhi as well. Now, having gone through this example highlighting the need of an adept guru to dispel the ego-driven confusions and misperceptions that can arise in a sadhak's mind, an important question naturally follows up. And that is, how do we aspirants go about finding such a God-realized sage who can guide us in determining whether our spiritual experiences are genuine or fake? Now, this question is a critically important one, especially in the times that we live in, so I shall dedicate the upcoming video to answering it in detail. But for now, let us continue on with our journey and discover the remaining two reasons why sharing one's spiritual experiences is fraught with danger. So, apart from rousing the ego, the second reason why we must maintain silence about our spiritual experiences is because the doubts and skepticisms of others can easily become our own. This is especially true when sadhaks are still beginners on the spiritual path, when they've just gotten a tiny glimpse of what lies beyond. In these early stages, the bhakti, that is the devotion, and the gyan, that is the knowledge of the sadhak, have still not solidified. And so questions, hesitations and confusions naturally arise in his or her mind. In such a situation, if the sadhak relates his or her experiences willy-nilly to people, then others may dismiss or ridicule these experiences and thus sow the seeds of self-doubt in the sadhak's mind. Therefore, just as a gardener protects a young plant from being harmed by building a fence around it, similarly, sadhaks working towards the goal of God realization must protect their nascent experiences by constructing a wall of silence around themselves. And finally, the third and last reason why spiritual experiences must be kept secret is to avoid rousing the feelings of competition and jealousy in those around us. This is especially true when spiritual aspirants live in an ashram setting where there are other sadhaks besides themselves. In such an environment, when aspirants carelessly relate or boast about their spiritual experiences, they end up fanning the flames of competition and jealousy in others around them. And by rousing these sentiments of animosity, they not only strain the spiritual atmosphere of the ashram, but ultimately end up harming their own sadhana and the sadhana of other aspirants as well. So these are the three critical reasons why an aspirant pursuing the path to God realization should keep his or her spiritual experiences a secret. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.